Welcome to the Azure Advent Calendar Day 17. This presentation is on Azure Enterprise Roles and Skills. Before we dive into talking about Azure skills in the enterprise, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Brette Bossick, co-founder of Skylines Academy, alongside Nick Collier, who is my business partner. Skylines Academy is an on-demand cloud education company where we guide people along the path of getting certified in Azure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Google. I've been full-time at Skylines Academy for over 5 months now, and prior to that, I worked at Microsoft as a technical account manager, where the majority of my customers were major universities in the Midwestern part of the United States. And then before I worked for Microsoft, I spent 6 years at a technology consulting company called Ahead. Ahead's based out of Chicago, and that's where I met Nick, and consulted enterprise customers on deploying effective cloud solutions. My passion for understanding educational needs of organizations and individuals began at Ahead and continued at Microsoft, which is why my personal mission at Skylines today is to help our students get certified so they can contribute to not only their own careers, but their teams at work as well. That's why in this particular video, I've selected to talk about scenarios in which you can apply your certifications in your work setting or your enterprise. Every single day at Skylines Academy, we see successes of our students, and we couldn't be happier. But post-certification leaves a lot of questions like, I did it, but what now? Most people know or are aware of certifications you can obtain from Microsoft. Certifications are extremely useful to test your skills and prove that you know what you are talking about, but ultimately, what you really want is to be successful in your role. So it's time to apply your knowledge. And more importantly, it's time to become recognized for being able to apply your insights with your team at work and with your own customers. So there are a lot of ways to approach obtaining enterprise skill sets. To set the stage for this presentation, I'll go over a sample model that I'm going to present. Keep in mind as the presentation progresses that there are several ways to model and obtain enterprise skills, and this segment only touches on one of the many. I'll also be focusing on skills and roles from an individual level rather than a team level, but team development is an equally important part of developing enterprise skills, so just something to keep in mind there. There are 5 core tenets which make up the sample model for enterprise skills in this presentation. First, who am I? This focuses on your individual accomplishments and how you can keep track throughout your skills enhancement journey. During the roles discussion, we will talk about some common roles in the enterprise today and what their day-to-day tasks entail. In certs according to role, I'll go over some certifications that you can go for that will align with specific roles that I've outlined in the previous section. Knowledge application is how each of the outlined roles can apply what they've learned by getting certified combined with the skill sets that they've mastered in their day-to-day tasks. And finally, I'm going to go into what is a key aspect of developing skills professionally, and that is community engagement and collaboration through the use of technology. The first thing I advise you to do is keep track of your role and your accomplishments. Trust me, the odds are that if you aren't keeping track of all the awesome stuff you're doing, neither is anyone else. So ask yourself these questions and keep track. What is my role today? What is my title and what do I do in my current day-to-day? These can be your everyday skills. Just write down anything that comes to mind in your regular 9 to 5 as to what you do. What certifications and skills do I have? And what plans do you have for keeping these accomplishments up to date or increasing your skill set? What major projects have you contributed to in the past year? I would keep a running list of a few things that you really enjoyed working on and that you also excelled at. What are my current goals for the coming year? And what would you like to achieve professionally? And finally, how can you teach others what you've learned? I think this is by far the most important part. If you have certain skills, share them. Be the person to help move your team and your organization forward. As long as you keep learning and increasing your skill sets yourself, you'll always stay ahead of the curve. All right, so now that you know what you do, what roles and skill sets are out there? I've put together a list of 5 sample roles that I've seen personally in the field. These roles are pretty standardized across organizations, but they'll give you a good idea of some varying roles that teams have these days. Number one is the cloud admin. So what does the cloud admin do? They do the things on screen, but how do you become a cloud admin? Cloud admins are generally earlier in their Azure career, but they cover multiple areas of the Azure platform in order to get a firm grasp on how to operate cloud services. Once the cloud admin role has been mastered, you might move on to a cloud infrastructure architect role. These architects are generally focused on one or more Azure services like storage or compute, and they're ultimately successful for overseeing the success of cloud infrastructure and services. Then we have the security architect role, which is clearly one of the most important roles inside of an IT organization. Just as an example from working with educational institutions at Microsoft, my customers wanted to ensure that they were a step ahead of any potential breaches, so everyone had at least one security expert helping to guide the architecture of Azure and other services to ensure the safety of not only the organization, but faculty and staff as well. Another important role is a DevOps architect or engineer. You've probably heard a lot about DevOps at this point, where teams work together to develop automation processes for more efficient deployments. Where some teams might not yet have this role, it's become top of mind for more and more CIOs who just want to move fast. And our final sample role is a data architect position. The more data we're able to collect and save, the more important it becomes to be able to intelligently ingest, process, and analyze data in our organizations. So this is a role you'll see more and more. Again, these are all incredibly relevant and common roles today, but they could vary between institutions. Now that we've talked about a few different role types, let's chat about how they align with Azure-specific certs and some other attributes you may need to broaden your enterprise skill sets. As of December 2019, I'll show you some certification exams and badges that could be applied to each of the mentioned roles. It's important to note that oftentimes roles will take several certifications and have prerequisite certs as well. Although not always required, it's a good idea to cover your bases with the Azure infrastructure certifications before specializing in, say, security or DevOps. For the cloud admin, the AZ-103 is focused on the administration of Azure services, including but not limited to storage, security, networking, and compute. For cloud infrastructure architects, the AZ-300 and 301 certification exams will focus on architecting and designing Azure technologies. The AZ-500 will teach you how to implement controls and create policies to ensure a secure Azure environment. The AZ-400 focuses on using DevOps as a means for streamlining delivery of applications and services in Azure. And finally, for this example, the DP200 and 201 show you how to implement and then design data solutions such as data storage, data processing, as well as monitoring and optimizing for data solutions. With all of your newly obtained knowledge, one of the most important aspects of enterprise skills is putting your fingers to the keyboard and executing. In this slide, I've outlined some samples of how you can apply your knowledge in real-world work scenarios. So as a cloud admin, you may troubleshoot VM performance or set up alerts and monitoring. A cloud infrastructure architect might configure hybrid networking on-premises and in the data center. This specific example might be focused on networking, but other cloud infrastructure architects might be focused on storage or compute, for example. A security architect might conduct a security access review and gather information and assess from Azure Security Center. An app and DevOps specialist might decouple a legacy application and modernize on containers with AKS using a CI/CD pipeline. And a data architect might build a POC with a modern data platform. Now, these are all just a few samples of how you would apply the knowledge that you've learned from taking certifications into your day-to-day job. But of course, these roles do many different things across the organization, and there are also several projects that these individuals might be working on together at any given point. Really as important as getting certified or applying your knowledge in your daily job is to show your excitement for learning Azure and share with communities. Technology truly gives us the opportunity to talk to almost anyone, anywhere, which is a powerful tool when it comes to enhancing our careers. I highly encourage everyone to speak up through user groups in your area or online. Write a blog post for your own site or for collaborative sites. I know we've had a bunch of guest bloggers at Skylines Academy, so feel free to reach out if you're ever interested in writing on a specific topic. Online forums in Reddit or on Facebook are great ways to contribute as well. While they don't take a ton of effort, they have an immense impact on your peers looking to learn just like you. Say you know a topic very well and someone has a question on it. In just a couple of minutes, you could educate them. Again, technology makes it easy. And one last thing here is getting creative. It's incredible what Richard and Gregor have put together with the Azure Advent Calendar this year. It's brought together so many people from around the world with similar learning objectives. Obviously, this took a lot of effort, but it just goes to show that there are a lot of people out there who want to contribute, especially considering that they had 3 presenters per day instead of the intended 1. So thanks so much to Richard and Gregor for running this. You guys are awesome. And with that, this concludes our chat. I'm very passionate about the subject, so if you want to chat more, feel free to reach out. It's always great to hear from people in the community, and I'd love to keep the conversation going. You can find me on Twitter at BretteMB or on LinkedIn as well under Brette Bossick. If you're interested in hearing more about Skylines Academy or collaborating with our team, you can reach us on Twitter at Skylines Academy, via our Azure study group on Facebook, where we also have over 5,000 students who are working together on Azure subjects, and they would love to hear from you. And you can also find us on LinkedIn at Skylines Academy. Thank you so much, and a very happy holiday to everybody.